right, everybody. Well, good morning and welcome to the Charmoli Center Neighborhood Place. How's that sound? Yeah. You know, it's kind of like, well, it's great, but it's, we all know a tight city budget forced us to close a lot of things in 2019 around Louisville Metro, and one of the casualties was the Charmoli Neighborhood Place in the old location. So it's just great that we're able to reopen in a nicer place here as well. So it's kind of like, sorry we had to do that. We got to balance the budget at Metro government, unlike the federal government. And so we had to make a lot of tough decisions back in those days. But I'm glad that we're here to celebrate today. And we're here to celebrate not just the neighborhood place, but we're here to celebrate Jane again. And I did not know her personally, but a lot of family here, a lot of friends here. And she's the kind of woman that I think we could celebrate every day, and that wouldn't be enough. So happy to do that. Compassion is one of our core city values, and that's an action word for us. Removing barriers, creating opportunities for everybody, so everybody's full human potential could flourish. A neighborhood place is one of those action steps for us, a way that we do that at Metro government, so that people can say, okay, I might have a few challenges in life, but there's people to support me, and I'm going to move on to a better life as well to realize my full human potential. So it's really exciting to be here for the reopening of the Charmoli Center Neighborhood Place at this really fantastic new location. This is now our nicest neighborhood place, I would say. Yeah. And it's great to see so many familiar faces here as well that have helped at our neighborhood places and with our community services each and every day. So thousands of Louisvillians each month utilize Neighborhood Place. And the whole concept back in the day was to have a one-stop center where individuals and families could connect with a caring and dedicated staff for a variety of critical services. There is nothing that's more frustrating, you know, that when you go somewhere for help and they say, well, we can help you with this, but if you want this help, you got to go over there. And then when you get there, they say, we can help you with this, but then you got to go over there. So it's hard when you need help. And sometimes you might have transportation barriers, and certainly you have a time barrier, and you might be trying to take care of some kids that are crying over here throughout the day, and you're supposed to magically go to all these places and make things happen, and it's hard. So Neighborhood Place pulled them all together in one location. Of course, received a lot of national recognition back in the day when that took place. The challenges were never more evident during the height of the COVID pandemic. That's when we were faced with some really serious questions by a lot of our community, like, am I going to be able to stay in my house or my apartment? I don't have a job. What am I going to do? And the Neighborhood Place really stepped up in a big way to keep residents safe and healthy during that very challenging time in our country. So what we did at Metro government, we said we have a new challenge. We had a lot of challenges during the pandemic, but we didn't have enough people to respond to the challenges if we just looked at our normal departmental structure. And we'll just say, well, too bad, we're short 40 people here. Our residents are going to have to suffer as a result of that. Well, you wouldn't do that in a normal business, and we don't do that in Metro government as well. So what we did was we developed an innovative collaboration including Neighborhood Place, our city's Office of Housing, and other partners. And so we distributed nearly $120 million in local, state, and federal eviction prevention assistance, and we helped almost 50,000 people and their families stay in their homes with these grants we received from the federal government. So resilience and community services, Neighborhood Places was the difference between people staying housed and being out on the street. And it was an amazing job by our team, to the point that the White House recognized us as the best in the country at deploying those dollars to keep people housed. And we just kept going back and back to that question of, if that was me in that position, or if that was my mother in that position, what kind of sense of urgency would we have when we have a challenge like that? You'd move fast. You wouldn't be saying, oh, we're a bureaucracy, we'll get to it when we get to it. That is not acceptable. And our team's culture does not accept that type of thing. So I'm really grateful for our team for responding in the way that they did. And I would say it's nothing new for the neighborhood place, they have been helping those in need in our community now for nearly 30 years with its model of blended, accessible services and care in the community. And the services continue to evolve because the needs of our citizens continue to evolve as well. So just last week, for example, our city launched a financial empowerment center, which is designed to provide professional one-on-one financial counseling to help residents manage finances and recover from the pandemic. So I don't know if anybody in here ever feels like this, but it's like, okay, here's the challenges I have, here's the finances I have. It sure would be great if all that was harmoniously blended together. That is not always the case. And sometimes for folks, a lot of things really pile up on each other. So now through the Financial Empowerment Center, there's a network of coaches that you can come to and say, here's my challenge, here's my assets, here's my liabilities, here's my resources, what's the plan? And they helped you put together a plan, and just having that plan provides a certain peace of mind that you're just not out there always under stress. So Neighborhood Place will be among those helping residents access the financial empowerment centers to work on our financial goals. Now, as it relates to neighborhood places, with today's reopening of the Charmoli Center, there are now 8 neighborhood place locations and 1 satellite across Jefferson County. So that means all residents can receive services at a location conveniently located by their neighborhood. So I want to thank the many partner agencies that helped make this happen and helped us build this successful model and reshape our community social service system. So it's the Kentucky Department of Community-Based Services, Jefferson County Public Schools, and 7 county services. Obviously, Louisville Metro Government is represented in this partnership by our Office of Resilience and Community Services. So I'd like to ask all members of our outstanding RCS team if you all would raise your hands so we could recognize you all for your good work. A lot of you folks are here. Thank you. This is where it all comes together. And I especially want to recognize RCS Director Tamika Laird and kudos to Travis White. Where's Travis? Travis is here with his beautiful family, by the way, so it was nice meeting the kids back there. So what would Travis's children please wave to us as well? Good to have you out supporting your dad here today. Nice job. And then, of course, our executive administrator, Cassandra Miller, who's done an incredible job and oversees all of our 8 neighborhood place sites. Thank you. So we'll hear from Cassandra in a few minutes, but first let's remember Jane Charmoli, for whom this center is named. And I love that so many of her family and friends are here with us today. Jane was one of the founding members of Neighborhood Place. She spent her life as a public servant, working for JCPS for 20 years as a teacher and serving as president for the Teacher Association Board for 2 years. She also once served as a liaison for JCPS in the city. And it's great to have some of our JCPS colleagues with us here today. But helping families was truly Jane's passion. She also knew the calling of helping people was not a one-size-fits-all. And there was no cookie-cutter service delivery. And each family's unique situation required a solution customized just for them. And so that was the vision that led to Neighborhood Place. So we're really grateful for that and humbled by the sizable gift also that she made to the Neighborhood Place when she passed, which was instrumental in establishing the first Charmoli site, first on Juneau Drive, and now here. So what a wonderful legacy to live. Living your values, living how you feel you should help people, and then being able to establish a permanent site for that as you pass on. That's about as good as it gets. So some of James' family members are with us here today. How about family and friends, if you'd raise your hand so we could thank you guys. And now we're going to hear from Jane's niece, Sarah Charmoli. Sarah? Give Sarah a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. It's always emotional talking about Jane. I'm Sarah. Jane is my beloved aunt. Thank you for the invitation to speak, and we are really so excited about the reopening of the Charmoli Center in Jane's honor. I think Jane just continues to be an inspiration for me. I live in her house. Her mail still comes to me every day. But she's obviously still an inspiration here as well. And when I think of Jane, I think about just how well-liked she was. I think Jane always kind of came with this attitude of, this is who I am, just this is how I am. But I don't know anybody who was more well-liked than she was. But I knew her as my fun aunt. Just a short story. When we were kids, we would go to my grandmother's house and we would go lay at the bottom of these stairs, and she would take these giant feather pillows from the couch and throw them on top of us, and we loved it. It was such a stupid game, but it was just the spirit of Jane. She could make any dumb thing super fun. And I just feel like if you knew Jane, you probably have a story about her that's similar to that. I can speak for myself and for the Charmoli family. We're just moved and honored and more than grateful that the Charmoli Center has reopened. She really was extraordinary. So may this center be infused with her spirit. And I hope you all continue to be motivated by her consistent actions. Thank you.
Today is an exciting day for us. We all know that access to social services in the East End has been lacking, and so the reopening of the Charmoli Center not only will benefit our families, but it will have a tremendous impact on student academic success. It's so great to see the Charmoli family here. Jane was a gift to JCPS and a gift to the partnership. She worked tirelessly behind the scenes, making sure everything was up and running. She was instrumental in the neighborhood place, and also she provided training for our new partners to make sure that everyone understood the importance of working together and collaborating across agencies so that we would have a seamless, holistic social services. So today, on behalf of Jefferson County Public Schools and with our partners, we celebrate the reopening of the Charmoli Center, and also we celebrate having access for our families and our students across all corners of Louisville. So thank you, and again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to the Neighborhood Place team, council members, partners, Metro leadership, and of course, community partners. And congratulations on the Charmoli Center's grand reopening and its rededication to serving Jefferson County. I am so honored to be here with you today representing the Kentucky Department for Community-Based Services and the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, and our Commissioner Marta Miranda-Straub, and of course our Secretary Eric Freelander, who as former Director of Louisville Metro Community Services and Chief Resilience Officer holds a special place in his heart for neighborhood place communities. We all know how vital neighborhood places networks, the Neighborhood Place Network is to supporting the health and well-being of Louisville families, and that is why we are elated about the reopening of the Charmoli Center and the opportunity to once again serve families. Neighborhood Places provide a one-stop shop for social services like housing, financial, and food assistance, and so much more. They are a convenient place to find key services like housing and utility assistance, but they are more than just an office. They are a lifeline to families in a time of need that is everything. Neighborhood Places began, as we've heard, 3 decades ago as a pioneer model that provides convenience and accessibility that busy and sometimes struggling families need. As caring professionals, we talk about the need to meet Kentuckians where they are. Neighborhood Places do just that. They bring together an integration of social services to the community that is healing and also helps families to thrive. At DCBS, one mantra that we operate under is nothing about us without us. We value lived experience to the degree that every decision we make must include the voices of youth, adults, and families, and that includes our customers of our biggest region, Jefferson Service Region, and the network of neighborhood places. I look forward to returning and seeing your offices busy, providing opportunities and promises to the community. There is no greater contribution to good outcomes than the kind that you are making and you are modeling for us. Families need specialized attention and comprehensive care, and that is where we find all of you. Today is a celebration of collaboration and hope, and I thank you for providing these to your home and neighbors here in Louisville. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, you always hope that transitions related to the government go as smooth as humanly possible. A lot of this had to do with, as the mayor said, very, very difficult decisions we had to make across the city years ago related to a very tough budget. But also what I would argue was not exactly the greatest building on the planet Earth, which was the East Government Center, right? And again, although we wish we could go back and not have any break in having a physical presence in the East End for the neighborhood place, what we came out of now with the reopening of the Charmoli Center is, I would argue, one of the best division headquarters for LMPD, the new 8th Division headquarters up off of Westport Road. We have the new Middletown Library off of Old Shelbyville, well, Shelbyville, between Shelbyville and Old Shelbyville Road, a beautiful library there, and now the most beautiful neighborhood place here in the Charmoli Center. So as painful as it was, as difficult as it was, you know, sometimes this is needed to get the right long-term solution for the community. Speaking of which, as I think was said a second ago, the East End, if you look at the census data, and we just did huge redistricting as we have to do every time there's a census, there's been a massive movement of population of all races and socioeconomic strata into the East End of this city. That's a great thing. We're seeing a complete breakdown across the city of the old, you know, this neighborhood was this type of group and that neighborhood was that type of group. That's going away. And as a result, we need city services across the community and across the county that reflect that population movement. So we're so happy, and we know what the demand is of this. I just want to say a few words of thanks. I do want to thank the entire Metro Council. You can't get anything passed in Metro Council unless you get at least 14 votes. And the budget, generally, we strive for unanimity. And this wasn't this past budget. This was actually passed because it takes time to get these things up and running. It was a little over a year ago we passed it as part of that budget. And as the mayor said, myself and a bunch of my colleagues, we said, look, you know, as the budget got better and as we were prioritizing goals, this was top priority. It was, we're not moving forward unless we have this thing in the budget, and we were able to get it there. And we do have a much better budget now. That was, somebody was asking me earlier about, you know, whether or not this was, you know, other federal dollars. No, this is sustainable inside the budget. This is going to be the permanent location, and it's part of a far more sustainable budget that I think we now have with the city. So just to alleviate any concerns there may have about the future, I do not see that, and there is tremendous support. So I want to thank Metro Council for their support. I want to thank the community. There were a lot of community members. The Eastern Area Community Ministries, Mayor Bonnie Jung of Douglas Hills, right, who were calling me consistently saying, we need this place reopened. So I want to thank everybody that advocated for it. And last but not least, the folks that work here. You know, we make policy in City Hall and Metro Hall, and you know, we meet with constituents and all, but you folks are the ones that have to sit face to face and hear very, very difficult stories and deal with very real problems. And we can't communicate enough how much we appreciate the work that the Office of Resilience and Community Services and everybody that works here at the Charmoli Center does. So thank you very much. Thanks, Mayor, for this opportunity.
So like you, Sarah, as I walked into this building today, I was overwhelmed with emotion. We looked at several places, and so I just want to say thank you to Metro Facilities, because when they reached out and said we can finally fund a neighborhood place, but what is it that you need when you open up? And I didn't really know other than to say we need, you know, space for X number of people, and we need it to be respectful, a respectful space that we can all be proud of and that we can serve families out of. This is the very first building that they showed us. After this, it was a group of us. We said, we don't really need to see anything else. And they said, well, please, Cassandra, be open. And I said, if we can afford this, this is where we want to be. It's accessible. It's got a nice parking lot. It's all the things that we want in a neighborhood play site. But they did force us to go look at some other places. We were not very open, and this is where we landed. So facilities, I don't know if anybody in here is with Metro Facilities. They were tasked with finding locations to just show us for possibilities for where we are. So again, Sarah, like you, when I walked in today, I just thought I could just feel the spirit of Jane in the place. Jane, although fun, high energy, she was no nonsense and all about excellence. And I hope that is what you all feel, the Charmoli family. I hope that's what you feel when you walk through this space today. So with that, I will just say, in the words of my pastor, Reverend Vincent James, I am hyena happy and peacock proud of what is happening here today. On this day, we officially opened the doors of the Jane Charmoli Neighborhood Place Center. I've been in city government now for 25 years. I've seen some of my worst work days, and I've seen some of my best work days. And I will say that today is one of the top 10 in my best work days. So thank you. I know what this means for families. They have better access to services. They don't have to travel all around downtown. Even though we have drop boxes and we try to make things a lot more accessible, people still want to speak to someone face to face, and having a space that they can come to that's closer to where they live. They don't have to travel across the city. It's just better overall. Sometimes in government, we get a bad rap, right, for not role modeling some of the things that we say are important. But I will say that this administration, Mayor Fisher, Director Laird, that equity has been one of the things that we constantly talk about. And today is a physical demonstration of what equity looks like, because this place is literally much more accessible for people who live outside of the Waterston to get here. So I'm very proud of that today. Neighborhood Place Operations Committee, which is a committee that I am a part of, we meet every Friday, and we've been doing that since the physical first Neighborhood Place opened in 1993. And I will say that in those meetings, we discuss a lot of things: budget, operations, programming, everything you can think of. Always opening up something in this part of town has been on the forefront of that agenda. And we did it today. So for the operations teams that's here, wave your hand. We did it today. I'm honored to speak on your behalf. I'm honored to serve and do this work with you. So thank you. Several years ago, when we had the opportunity to open up the very first Charmoli Center, just a few years later, we had to close it. I will say that that was due to budget. And although the budget was a distraction, those in leadership was never distracted by what was significant. And what is significant is the people that we serve. And so we always came back to the conversations of being here in this space and having something like this for the residents that live in this area. Over the past several weeks, I've had the opportunity to travel several cities, including one that passed a law to replicate Neighborhood Place. And despite having all of the financial resources to make that collaborative possible, they did not see the success that Louisville has seen. And while I was there, it was visibly noticeable: homelessness, families struggling, poverty, need, all that. And I just simply walked up and just started asking people, how do you get services around here? How do you get what you need? And the group of friends that I was with said, oh my God, will you please stop working? Is this what you do all the time? Do you ever stop? And my response is this: when you have a passion of service and when you have compassion for people, this kind of work never ever feels like work. You just simply want to do what's right, and I simply want to do things to make Louisville a better place for people who are struggling. So a few of the people that I spoke with, and including when I talked to people around here, since COVID, we're seeing a lot of people who have never sought out social services. So since COVID, it's really kind of been the first time for them to seek services. And admittedly, I will say that I am one of them. My family, you know, like many other people, we started to experience things that we'd never experienced before. With just isolation and being alone and kids not being in school and high levels of stress and all of the things that everybody in this room probably has struggled with. And people are afraid to seek services because they just don't even know how or where to start. They feel like people will pass judgment against them, all of those things. But what I say to those folks is Neighborhood Place is the place where you start. If you don't know what to do, you don't know where to go, just come to our doors and we got you. So for families coming in here today, I will say that they can expect to receive rent and utility assistance, connections to schools and all school services, protection and permanency for children struggling with abuse and neglect. Specifically for our seniors, they can expect to receive farmers market vouchers and they can go and buy their fresh fruits and vegetables locally grown in the state of Kentucky. And fans, which is awesome because we are expecting record high temperatures this week, and so we have fans available for folks. And as school starts, no child should show up on the first day of school without school resources, backpacks, notebooks, pencils, pens. We have more than enough for children in this community. We're going to continue to grow our scope of services now that we're here. But what I need from this community is every neighborhood place is equipped with what we call community councils. Those councils are free for people, but we need people who live and work and have a vested interest in this community. We need for them to help give us direction, to help us understand what the direct needs of this community are. In Neighborhood Place, we will listen and do what we can to meet those needs. So we're seeking, you know, just from a diverse group, anybody that lives and has a vested interest in this area. So I will just say on behalf of Neighborhood Place Operations, the Office of Resilience and Community Services, I say thank you to Mayor Fisher, to Councilman Pagentini. I know Councilman Marcus Winkler was not able to be here, but his legislative aide is here. Councilwoman Paula McCraney, Director Extraordinaire Tamika Laird. I just say thank you for the opportunity to serve and to be of service. Thank you.